Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday, and welcome to Series Recap, the show where we're going through everything that went down in a packed week of Series E action. My name is Ye, so excited to be here with you all once again. I've got a few special guests joining me on the show today. Of course, we kicked off the season for Halo with Draft Day this week. We started the second half of the season for Series E Apex Legends, and we kept things rolling with Guilty Gear Strive. There's a ton to talk about, a ton to break down here today, so I'm not going to waste your time any further. It's time for Series Recap. Let's get into it.
And now we're seeing it once again, just like Game 2, slowed down, but Fury time and time again, and cheese it. They think they're winning it. Chances are they're winning it.
So he gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hacula's going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Apex Legends Series E recap for this week. I am Kaisa, and I'm going to be joining you all today for this Apex Legends segment. How are you doing?
I'm good. It feels weird. You've taken my chair,
I've taken
but it's
the
okay.
big chair.
But it's a little odd. I'm not used to this perspective.
Right.
But you know, change is good. All good things come to an end. So rest in peace,
I
host
feel
Yeso,
that.
I guess.
I'm so sorry. You'll be back in this chair really
She just came in and kicked me out. She walked in the studio. She was like, "That's my spot. Get out of here."
Yeso is my special guest today. I'm kidding.
Woo!
I'm kidding.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh,
I appreciate you welcoming me in.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes.
How did you feel about this week overall about Apex Legends games?
It was a crazy week, honestly. I was really kind of wondering if we were going to get more from Team Intel after we really had them pop off a couple of weeks ago. seems like we may see some more consistent success from them, and we'll of course dig deeper into that. And then of course we had all of the drama from CLG and XSET that was going on Twitter that found its way into Series E here on Wednesday night, and we got some more answers on that. So it was honestly a really fun week. I'm excited to talk about it more because there's honestly a ton to cover.
There is a lot for us to unpack, but before that, let's check out the series highlights. Let's check out the highlights from Week 10 for Apex Legends.
What's going on, everybody? Long time no see. I'm glad to be back here for Series E, and especially with my co-caster. I've got Tom T-Squared Taylor on the line.
But when you end up in this situation, that's what you have to do. You have to bubble, land inside of there because you're gonna get a little bit of gun punch. We'll see if they can take this fight directly towards them. It's start a fight, and it looks like they are not gonna be able to end this fight. Maybe the heal off was the better option for them.
They do still have the Wraith up top with the gold armor. That means they can hit a syringe with the right timing and then hit a Q to try and delay this for as long as possible. We'll see if Lada has the timing down onto this one. Plug Cube goes down, and now Lada without that Wraith Q will fall next, and it looks like CCE somehow survived despite the gold armor, despite the Wraith Q. Safe zone, but not for long as Nerf pressed the hill, and it's just the shooting gallery for them. Dimmy the only one taking damage from Nerf, but it's going to be Nerf picking up the majority of the kills there onto that squad. Defensive bombardment right on down onto Blackhand, and they're taking the fight to them. The knock onto Goat, and just like that, Team Nerf coming alive here in game number 2. Dimmy choosing his timing quite well, and now it's just down to, I believe, just one player left as they're going to chase him down. Patty stuck on the low, turns, will be able to finish him off, and Team Nerf will get the win here in game number 2. Up as a 3, so it's a 3v3v2, and they need to deal with Young Pop-Tart sliding in, and Fearless does go down. Patty picks him up with the caustic gas, but you need more than caustic barrel to try and stop Team Intel, and they pick up the rest of those kills. Now it's the final squad remaining. Blackhand dropping in from the sky, but no, it's not enough. It looks like Team Intel losing out on one more Mooney. You need a clutch up, and he wins. Team Intel get the win here in game number 3, and they killed like half the lobby. Squad, we have so many fights taking place. We don't even know who's fighting who, etc. Turning onto Nestle Splash right now as Cruisin drops down low. Prodigy Ace is the first to fall, another one for Splash, and they are cleaned up. 4 squads remaining. Excedrin, though, they don't have a bubble. They need to try and go for this res, but you can see now the turnaround from the other squads. They're going to be busy in their own little fight here. Might buy enough time for Kimchi Lee to get that bubble up, or he just goes for the kills. Scissors finishing off a dam, and now it's just slacking up here as he goes for that Q. Excedrin somehow survive that melee, and they take the win here in game number 4. Now they are once again forcing them back into this corner. They need to get the flesh it again for this Mozambique to really start opening up, but now was not the time to really pull that one out. Kimchi Lee will go down next, and all up to Cruisin. They have traded back and forth, though. It's coming down to a 1v1. Cruisin has the armor. He hits a big shot there, and it takes one more tap. Team Excedrin with the back-to-back wins.
Get out of here.
And this is what you have to worry about when you get into the late game up against Vizio. The extra nades they pick up with that Black Market Boutique raining in onto Nerf. Phony gets the knock onto Dimmy. They took the time to hit that Black Market Boutique. Luckily for them, Nerf at least gets the knock into Target Cowboy, but they need to secure the thirst. There we go. They secure 2 more kill points for themselves. That means Vizio understand this is their win. They charge forward, and they will deny, of course, the 3-peat. Let's go ahead and look at the Mobile 1 leaderboard for the final time tonight to see who walks away with the win. And Team Intel survived in first place by 2 points, Tom.
Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends. My name is Yeso. I will be your host today as we close out week number 10 here.
Premier are putting up a little bit of a fight. Nocturnal doing a great job of just trying to bait them out of position. Now there's actually a chance for Team Liquid to just run in with the bubble and 3v1 and take 2 separate 3v1s to finish this off instead of risking anything at all. They even got some nades to spare throughout all of this, but yeah, we're just waiting for the bubble forward for that last moment. Maybe Team Liquid aren't sure if it's a 3-man or if it's 2-man, but there it is. They find the isolated player. They go ahead and take him out first. That's going to be quick going down. Even the quick armor swap for Nocturnal. You got to keep your wits about you at all points in the game. And Team Liquid There is a barrel he has to contend with, though. Skittle Cakes trying his best to take him out, and unfortunately for Hal, he's only got the PK left. There it is. TSM finally go down, but now CLG are given the HP advantage. They drop down, but it doesn't matter. Duplex gets the knock, finally traded back, and Mamba, with almost no HP left, with his partner in tow, will be able to finish off Team Esports Arena and take the win. Now they do have the heights. They are on top as the defensive body goes down onto Razors. The caustic gas that ends up taking out Fearing Live. And it does look like Complexity might be playing the ledge side, like I said, of the bridge. Razor losing out on Bercy, and now there's only one player left. It's the final 3v3. Esports Arena versus Complexity. Throughout all of that, Esports Arena did not take too much damage. They trade away for Reptar, and Esports Arena will mop up Complexity to finish off game number 3. Dropping on top of Renegades, and that buys enough space for them to try and push up. Impulse does ultimately go down, but now Vizio pushing on to Atlanta Premier. This could just spell victory now for the Renegades, already coming in for the third party. Scissors needs an armor swap, but he only gets like 10 HP off of it. Renegades coming in. Madness gets the first knock onto Scissors, and now it's only Pony left remaining here, as they only lose out on one in that fight. Renegades come up with a huge game at number 4. Zara wants to try and get that kill so badly. Vizio making the push onto 100 Thieves right now, and just like that, their base is broken. That's right, I said their base. They set up all the walls, and it didn't even matter. The barricades did nothing for them as Vizio just full sent, and that's the strength of this high mobility composition. They just get right on top of you, and now Vizio, they let victory just escape their grasps in game number 4, but this is now their chance, our first partnered squad, to put up a point.
They knew the defensive bombardment was going to go on over towards the corner, so that's why the thought process was to go down over towards the low ground. Now Esports Arena is slowly taking damage. There goes the bubble on the outside of the door. Rakadishu is just eating damage with the defensive bombardment thrown by Duplex. Everyone taking to the sky there with the Horizon Q. And
What is going on right now? As everyone has that passive to really utilize that gravity lift. But Esports Arena still alive throughout all of this. Furia have been knocked out. Razor's still up, but now it's Ghost. Will they be able to get the win? No, it's Razor who sneak in for the final victory of the day. And honestly, that has to be one of the most chaotic endings I've ever seen in Apex Legends. Let's check in with the Mobile 1 leaderboard, and it was Team Esports Arena that snuck in for that final 61-point win now, as Team Esports Arena do walk away with that victory. And unfortunately, I am getting word from production.
So those are some crazy highlights from week 10. Do you have any specific favorites out of all of those clips?
It has to be the last one, that final game on Wednesday night, the absolute chaos of the Horizon tactical, everybody going up into the air, the multiple Valkyries. And my favorite part is the animation for Valkyrie when you like stop doing your jetpack as Valkyrie hits the kind of, you know, deuces. And my favorite part is just Noct jetpacking up, looking up at Panders the whole time, and Panders starts to fall. Noct stops doing his jetpack, and just as Panders falls by, just like, later, Panders. And of course, doesn't end up winning the game. Razor does grab the game, but that was a fun one, because it was just, I don't know, I love those kind of silly, chaotic moments that we get in Apex.
Right.
The game, it's different.
It's like, how do you prepare? Do you practice? I don't think you can practice for that. There's nothing you
yeah,
can do.
For that
it's just
kind
up
of
to
end
skill.
game. Nope, you just hope, you know, it goes in your favor. Maybe you get a Valkyrie rocket that finishes somebody off. Who knows? Yeah, you definitely can't prepare. And I don't know that it's worth like labbing that kind of chaotic moment. Like, you just have to lean on your base skills, your fundamentals there, and see how it goes.
Right, and just kind of hope that you do your best and hope that you pull through.
Yeah.
There were a lot of great games. I feel like there were so many games where it was just really down to the seconds at the end of, you know, who's just going to have that slight advantage, like whose bubble is going to expire first, or you know, what exactly is going to happen. Were there any games that you felt you were like on the edge of your seat, or you were like, I don't know who's really going to win this?
I honestly felt like that all through the night on Wednesday specifically. If you guys watched the show on Wednesday, we had 6 different winners across all 6 games, which is not super uncommon, but it's just interesting because it really sets up this fascinating dynamic on the scoreboard where it's hard for teams to truly pull away unless you're fragging out every single game, because those 12 points for placement are so important. So it really felt like we went into the second half, and of course we have shifted the format now from 6 games on World's Edge to half and half. We start 3 on World's Edge, and then we finish with 3 on Storm Point, and it felt like we finished World's Edge and had no definitive answer about who was like ready to pull away. And it just makes it fun. I love, as awesome as it can be to see a team really take over on a single night. We see it from TSM very consistently, where they just come out, they win one of the first few games, and then they dominate the rest of the night. But when you have those really tight showings where you're going into game 5 and 6 and you're like, I have no idea, there's like 7 teams here who could jump out ahead and take the night, I think that's really fun and really compelling, and we really got it, because even at the end of that final game, there was the conversation about the race there, and did Team Esports Arena get enough points to jump ahead of CLG? CLG have been really good all night, and I love when we go into that final game and have no idea what's going to happen, because I think it just gives that kind of most compelling finish.
Right, I agree. I feel like a lot of teams were really neck and neck with points, and we're just kind of like 1 point or a couple points off from each other, and the level of competition is just so high that it kind of, honestly, after watching all the Olympics recently, I was like, oh, it's like figure skating, where it's like one minor thing you mess up, you know, you're not going to win, which was, really cool to see in a high level competition.
And it really showed on Tuesday in particular, when you talk about like that, it's a game of inches, those 1 or 2 points can matter, because Intel ended up finishing in first place that night. They won game 3 with that big 28 kill performance, but then weren't quite able to get things going in the back half, but they ended up winning by 2 points over Excedrin. And very specifically, 2 players on Intel went down really early in game 6, so they had the Rat just trying to hold on for as many points as possible. And when you look at that, you're typically like, all right, like they're probably done. You're probably not going to be able to get enough done there, because Intel was just behind going into that final game. But they actually did just enough to just jump ahead of the other couple of teams. And it wasn't CLG, excuse me, it was Excedrin. They did just enough to jump into the lead there and pull it away with 2 points ahead of Excedrin. So those kinds of things, again, just make for compelling esports and just a really fun watch as a viewer.
Do you have any other notes on Intel's Game 3 and how insane it was?
So those kinds of performances are so rare, and especially, even when you look at a team like Intel, even the best teams don't do that, right? You can see TSM have a pop-off game, but like 28 is a crazy number when you consider there's 60 players in the lobby. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we saw Intel have that really breakout performance, and they had 117 points on a single night. And the big point I made was, hey, you don't need to be a triple-digit team once a week, right? It's unrealistic. It's okay, but you need to be consistent and put points on the board and chip away at the lead that Team Vizio has at the top of the leaderboard. And that's kind of another performance where I'm like, okay, that's sick, and it ended up kind of winning you the night, but I want to see the baseline higher, right? For me, it seems like the ceiling is way up here for Intel. Like when they're good, they can be incredible. I want them to kind of raise the floor, because I feel like that is what is going to change things for them drastically in terms of the standings and in terms of the consistency. Is like, if you can get that floor up, if your baseline expectation is, 8th to 7th to 8th, and you're putting up 40 to 50 points a night, then I'm like, okay, you're in the right spot. And then those pop-off performances really close the gap. But for me, Intel hasn't quite raised that floor up high enough yet for me to be like, okay, it's the era of Intel now.
Right. I kind of, this reminds me of Demon Slayer. We were just talking about season 2, no spoilers.
Yes.
But it's kind of like, I don't know if the team themselves knew that they could do that well, and I hope they kind of, after that game, was like, oh, we can bring this level of competition.
Sure.
Like we can take some, like notes and really learn from that and try to bring that into the next game to raise that kind of bar or like base level that we can expect from them, or that they can expect from themselves.
Yeah, I do want to take a look at that Series E overall leaderboard, specifically because I think it really sets the stage right now, as there's still plenty more weeks of competition left in the season, but just to look at where everybody's standing. And of course, all the teams want first place, but what you're really battling for is to get into that top 3, and it means you hold on to that sponsorship. You don't have to requalify for Season 5. And of course, no surprise, Vizio still with a strong lead, over 200 points ahead of Intel. So Intel trying to chase down Vizio, but I would say most importantly, they're trying to hold off everybody below them. They're approaching a 100-point lead on Nerf. That's going to make them feel real comfortable. And of course, Nerf trying to hold off Excedrin and Splash here, as well as Razor. And Razor still with a lot of work to do. We'll dig into them a little bit deeper here later on, but that's the state of the leaderboard right now in Series E. And I'm looking for, Splash. I don't kind of know where they're at. Of course, we saw the kind of full roster overhaul for them a few weeks ago. I don't know still what to expect from them, but I want to see Excedrin challenge for that top 3. They have some work to do. Nerf has a nice little cushion there, and Nerf continues to play well and challenge for top 5 placings, which is making Excedrin's life difficult to close that gap. But Excedrin seems like the team that has an opportunity here. Whether they'll take advantage of it or not remains to be seen.
So after seeing the current standings of the combined cumulative points that all of these teams have,
Sure.
Are there any predictions for next week that you're like, oh, I really think? I mean, you mentioned kind of like you want to see Excedrin kind of challenge Team Nerf or kind of get to that next level. Do you think they'll be able to do it?
So, looking ahead to next week, I would say my eyes are still on Intel. We talk about the high highs that they have. I still want to see them raise the floor, but I would say the fact that they have had 2 of these kind of signature performances, and Tom talked about it on Tuesday, after that Intel game, that he believes, and I think he is correct, that is actually the single best single game performance we've seen from a team in Series E in history, right? 3.5 seasons to date. That may be 28 kills and a win, the best performance we've seen from a team in a single game. The highs are so high. I want to see Intel come out next week, and I don't need to see them get 28 kills again. They don't need to hit triple digits in placement points, or triple digits in points in overall. I want to see them have just a solid week. If they get between Open Night and Pro Night next week 100 points, I think that is a great week from Intel, and that is them raising that floor and holding, firmly establishing themselves as the second best team in Series E right now. I think they are that, but I still need some answers from them. I'm curious who you have your eye on.
Who do I have my eye on? I feel like Team Nerf had a lot of fun games and a lot of cool finishes. This week I feel like they were just really fun to watch, or were really gutsy with a lot of their moves. And I was kind of cheering them on. I was like, come on, Nerf, Team Nerf, you can do it. So I'm all for Team Nerf.
It's a fun team to cheer for.
Yeah, definitely. So as we're hitting the middle of this season, you have some awards, you have some mid-season awards, and I was wondering if you could tell us who you have as your MVP for this mid-season award.
Yeah, so coming into the season, I really wanted to be able to, especially with the lengthening of the season, moving from 12 weeks to 16 weeks, really, I think 8 weeks is a very good sample size to hit that mid-season point and look back at what players and teams have done so far. So for my MVP through the first 8 weeks of the season, it is going to go to Scissors for Team Vizio. And you can see his stats on the screen right now. 153 kills, that is first overall in Series E. 101 assists is 4th best in Series E right now. And that 778 damage is 6th best. He has led Series E in kills all season long. The first night of the season, Scissors fragged out for Team Vizio. They ended up winning that night. He had the most kills in the lobby then, and he has literally not relinquished the lead since the first night of the season. And it's been really fun to watch. Of course, Scissors was the new addition to the roster. Fury and Phony have played together for multiple seasons now. They decided to part ways with Presley, bring in Scissors for this season. They've been competing in ALGS together as well. And Scissors has thrived all season, has been really fun to watch, and it's crazy to look at a team with two great play drivers like Scissors and Phony going at it, and it's so much fun to watch. Scissors has been, in my opinion, the clear-cut best player in Series E through the first half of the season, and now I'm just like, all right, how high is that ceiling? Like, what kind of numbers can we see from him by the end of Season 4? And I'm also very excited to see him really get into it in ALGS as well. They had a good first split, and I think showed up well in the Split 1 playoffs. Now I'm like, all right, you've got all of this experience now under your belt. Half a season of Series E, a full split in the ALGS, Split 1 playoffs. Now that you've got all that good experience under your belt, what can you do in Split 2? And I think Scissors has been incredibly impressive so far this season.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Scissors for being Yeso's mid-season awards MVP pick.
I know everybody wanted to be my MVP. Everybody's been looking forward to what I had to say on the conversation.
Everyone is eyeing it, but Scissors, you got it. So next we have your biggest surprise.
Yeah, so this is biggest surprise, and not in a good way.
Oh, no.
My biggest surprise is going to go to Team Razor, and very specifically because I had pretty high expectations for this team. They won one of the best teams in qualifiers. Of course, this was the roster that was Buff Pathfinder that qualified for Split 1 of the ALGS, and this season has not quite been what I was expecting. I'm very surprised with the rough season that Razor has had. Of course, this is a team that has had great history in Series E, and of course, the two players that defined the legacy of Team Razor through the first 3 seasons, Zeratricky and Mr. Hakulo, of course, did leave before the season, so it is an entirely new roster. But when you look at what they were doing coming into this season of Series E, I think it was very easy to look at them as one of the biggest contenders with Vizio for the top of the table. And not only have they not been challenging Vizio, but they have not been challenging almost anybody. They are at the bottom of the standings. We got a good look at it moments ago, and you can see their stats on the screen right now. 189 kills. That's not many more than Scissors has gotten on his own this entire season.
Wow.
Their average placement, 9.35 is okay. The average damage below 2,000 is not great. And you can see there, they are 132 points behind third place. So they are by no means out of the conversation. It is not unrealistic, especially with the time remaining in this season, for them to put themselves firmly back in the conversation for top 3, but I'm not seeing from them the kinds of play that I want to see for this team to truly shift their season. They did have a win on Wednesday night to close out the night, which is great, but I need to see more from them. Very specifically, no players in the top 10 in kills this season really sticks out to me. And, you know, they have a nice spread across the roster, but really, when I look at this season as a whole, I had Razor pegged as a top 2, top 3 team, and they have been nowhere near that through the first half.
Wow. Why do you think they're doing so poorly?
You know, it's a difficult conversation. We talked to them a few weeks ago for Roster Mania, and they talked about, of course, they came into the season with Malice Mamba, and Malice left right at the beginning of the season to go join CLG. So that is very difficult, especially because Malice is a really good player, very good fragger for the team, and taking out such a key player in a key role right at the beginning of the season when you really can't get your feet under you and build some momentum. And they agreed. They were like, yeah, you know, losing a player of that caliber that early on really hampered our start. And then incorporating Fearing Live has not gone as well. But at a certain point, you know, I think Fearing Live has been competing with them for 6 or 7 weeks at this point. At a certain point, that excuse doesn't really hold water anymore, right? You've had the time to incorporate this new player to your roster. You need to get rolling. So for a few weeks, okay, I'll give you the excuse. You got to bring a new player in. You got to build some momentum. But I haven't seen anything definitive over the last couple of weeks to say, okay, they've hit their stride. Razor's kind of on their way. I really need to see them have that standout performance. So for me, it's not moving in the right direction.
Do you think they'll be able to make a comeback and get back on their feet? Did you see anything from that win that they got this week? Or
look, there's still a lot of time in the season, and I think there are definitely talented players on their roster. I really like Drasav and Bursty. I love what I saw from them in qualifiers, and that was why, with the combination of Malice Mamba, I was pretty high on Razor coming into the season. So, like, the talent is there. It just has not shown anything really stand out to me so far this season. So, could they? Sure. But at the same time, Intel's playing really well right now. Nerf's looking really good. Even when Vizio's having a down week, they still put up good points. So it's just like, I feel like they have to have these above and beyond performances when so many other teams are just looking good on average. So if I was a betting man, I'd say no. I'd say they probably end bottom 2.
It is tough competition out there. I hope Razor can figure out how to have some more synergy in their team, or maybe, you know, have some better teamwork, or you know, find a different strategy to win some of these next games. But right now, it's not looking good. So your next midseason award is Standout Stat. Is this standout in a good way, or
Yes.
is okay?
Yes, it's a good one. It's a good one. Don't worry. Yes. So my standout stat was Team Vizio's 4-week win streak on open night. Of course, if you were here at the start of the season, Team Vizio won open night the first 4 weeks in a row, and we could take a look here at their stats just from that 4-week run on open night. So this is just those 4 open night performances. They had 179 kills, 380 points over that span. So over a third of their points from the season came just from those 4 first open nights. They won 13 games of the 24. It had 18 top 5. So that meant in those first 4 weeks, if you dropped onto the map with Vizio, they had better than a 50% chance of winning that game just from the start. And if they got into top 5, they had better than a 66% chance to win that game if they just got into the top 5. So they were super, super dangerous. They really hit the ground running. And it's to be expected when you look at Fury and Phony, who have, again, they've competed together in Series E alone in seasons 2 and 3, and incorporating Scissors into the roster was very easy for them. They talked about it in interviews early on in the season that they've competed with Scissors before. This is a player that they know, and the transition was very easy for them, and they really just hit the ground running. And I expected Vizio to come into the season strong. This was the team that I had pegged to win this season, but I did not expect them to just torch everybody so well from the start. So that's definitely my standout stat, was that 4-week run for them.
Those are some crazy stats of if you drop on the map, those are your chances of getting beaten by Vizio. I would be scared. That's pretty daunting.
Right? I mean, you're dropping onto World's Edge with 19 other teams, and somehow you have better than a 50% chance just with how they were playing.
That is crazy. That is crazy, and just speaks to how skilled these players are.
Sure.
So your last midseason award is biggest disappointment, and this is not harkening back to Team Razor.
No, we're not.
This
I'm not
is
going to
something
dogpile
else.
Team Razor any further. You know, shout outs to the boys. I appreciate y'all taking the flack. I will direct my ire at somebody else.
We love you, Team Razor.
Yeah. My biggest disappointment for this season, I mean, it theoretically could have gone to Razor, but it's actually going to go to Excedrin. Team Excedrin was a team that coming into the season I was hyping up pretty well. I had my eye on them alongside Razor to be one of those top 3 teams to really challenge, because I was not super high on Intel with the roster change that they made right at the end of qualifiers, and I just wasn't buying into the hype because they really crushed qualifiers, but I wasn't really in on them. For me, it was really Razor and Excedrin and Vizio. And it's because Excedrin was extremely consistent during the qualifiers. And at the start of the season, they did bring some of that to the table. But for me, what I haven't seen from Excedrin is something I've been asking for from Intel that they have delivered on, is those standout performances, right? Come out, win a night, have those big games. And Excedrin has not done that for me. They've been solid on open nights. Their average finish on open nights is 5.5. So and they have 4 finishes in the top 3. So on Tuesdays, Excedrin is good. They're consistent. They're solid. But for me, this has not translated into pro nights whatsoever. Their average finish on pro night is 15.4. So they're averaging bottom 5 on Pro Night this season. That is through 9 weeks of Pro Night competition, and it just hasn't quite been there. And it's just a disappointment because Kim Chi Lee, I think, is a really, really good player, and I like the roster that they brought together, and I think they had a lot of things to work on at the end of qualifiers. And it felt like, to me, through the first few weeks, I was like, okay, it looks like they're maybe starting to sort things out. Are we finally going to see them kind of take the next step? And I just feel like Excedrin has never taken that next step. I feel like they have just been the same team that they were in qualifiers. And for me, it's not good enough. They, of course, sit outside of the top 3 now based on that. And I really would like them to have a breakout performance on Pro Night, and I've yet to see it.
I hope so too. I know this week they won 2 games back-to-back and almost won a third, but as you said, on Pro Night they didn't win any games, or I feel like they weren't especially standout.
Yep.
Why, do you think there's any specific reason as to why that might be? Or?
I mean, it's hard. The competition is incredibly difficult on Pro Night when you look at the kind of teams come out. You've got TSM, you've got Esports Arena, Cloud9, Liquid. Like, the talent level is it is a big jump from Tuesday to Wednesday. And of course, the play style shifts as well. Tuesdays are definitely more chaotic. Drops are not as set. And when you come into Wednesday, it is definitely more rigid. The pace of play is slower. A lot more teams get into those later circles. And it just feels like you have to feel comfortable in your drop and in kind of your strategy for the game, because it's much less freeform than Tuesday, and it just doesn't seem to be working here for Excedrin. So I don't quite have the answers. I'd be curious to see kind of what Excedrin's thoughts are on where they stand right now, but I just need to see them have a Pro Night showing, and I really need to see them have a season-defining kind of performance under that kind of pressure, because that's what defines it, right? We can talk about how ultimately the pros aren't on the Series E leaderboard, right? And all it matters is your competition against the other 5 sponsored teams. And that is true to an extent. But when you have to play against some of the best in half of the competition, then I need you to make something happen. So
absolutely. And I just wanted to say, I feel like your point about how Tuesday night and Wednesday night are very different, I think is true. It's almost a different kind of game with the different pacing and the different play styles. And I feel like hopefully they adjust to that in the future and they have a good Pro Night. Yeah,
we'll have to see. Final thing I do want to touch on is the ALGS Pro League before we wrap up talking about Apex. We were planning on doing a kind of full preview here, but there was an announcement earlier this week that Respawn has decided to delay the start of ALGS Pro League. Of course, there was a lot of push from the community due to what is going on in Ukraine right now, and there's quite a few Ukrainian players that do compete in the EMEA ALGS, so they decided for the time being all ALGS competition has been postponed. I do want to say that I completely support the decision. I think it's the right decision. I want to see those Ukrainian players be able to compete. And so as of right now, we will hold off on that preview, but I'm looking forward to digging into it very soon. But for right now, no ALGS competition.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll come back soon in the future, but of course that is not the priority, and I'm glad that they're really thinking of the players and making sure that the players are all taken care of first. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'm looking forward to talking more Apex next week. This was fun.
Me too. This was fun. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, well, the best part is you'll be back again in a little bit.
I'll be back in a little bit for Halo. So that is our Week 10 highlight recap for Apex Legends. We are going to kick to commercial, and then Yeso will be back with James Chen. I am so sorry, James Chen.
It's okay,
back with James Chen to replace me to discuss Guilty Gear Strive.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams and talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go! hatred.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
Welcome back, everybody. I've kicked Kaisa out. I have reclaimed my chair, and we're talking Guilty Gear Strive now. I have Jeff, James, somebody, Chen joining me on the show. James Chen, welcome to Series Recap. How you doing today, my man?
You know what the best thing about that is?
Yeah.
When she said that, I was like, wait, my brother is going to be on the show?
Oh, your brother's name is Jeff?
Literally, my brother is named Jeff Chen.
Nice. Okay, you know what?
So
Then
that's all it was. She just was mistaken one brother for the other, you know?
easy mix up. Easy mix up. Hey, happy Friday, James. I appreciate you taking the time to come join me. How you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. It's Friday. It's been a good week of a lot of fighting game stuff going on. So, you know, just kind of basking in all the fighting game joy right now.
Yeah, honestly, the FGC has got a lot to look forward to right now. But of course, we are here today to talk Series E and to talk Guilty Gear Strive. So we just wrapped up week 10 of action last night. Let's take a look at how it all went down just tonight. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Guilty Gear Strive. My name is Yeso. I will be your host today as we kick off week number 11. And the best part is we're all ready to go, folks. So let's kick it off. Series E Guilty Gear Strive starts right now.
Bro, I'm blocked. I'm just saying, okay? You can cancel it with a command grab. Oh my god.
All these fights.
Blew her out of the Rekkas. It's like he knew he was gonna stagger the Rekka, so he just like was just waiting there and then got the back throw. Here's another one. Garuda, it's a pot buster. Damn it.
Catch that right, you're almost dead. Another one. You're dead.
Nice
What did he do? The back dash? That would have been bad, but the back dash so for shine, the back throw. Save him. What?
Oh,
there's a blood meter and it's a mag grab.
And the heat knuckles, they give you more distance.
No.
Yeah.
Shine. But the ceiling. Meaning,
no.
that's the worst. And Razo back it off a bit. I like this. They go like that fireball pressure, which can eliminate some of the minions. There's too many on the screen.
Go. You see how Adventure will use the minions for zoning, but once get a couple of minions out there. Oh my god! Look!
They kneeling.
No.
Crushing 2S.
Oh, the 2H! He's reading everything! He's reading everything! He even reads first! Hotashi gets it with the throw! Alright, coming in there, gets the command grab. Alright, the pot buster, good amount of damage. Another one! Oh boy, Shine trying to send a message early on that he's all about the pot buster, but oh, that would have killed, but he said he was gonna PRC it just to be safe. He didn't believe that it was gonna grab. Hotashi could actually make this comeback right now. This is scary. Here we go. Might have accidentally backdashed. Oh no! Okay, just goes for the hammer ball, not even the break, potentially. Oh, the swing!
Oh my god, there was a damn fight. The knockdown he's in. He's dying.
PRC.
What the throw? Get the distance in him.
Not a goal.
Shine needs
The
it.
Beyblade.
Oh, in the bus. And we're going. The dust. Red RC. Turn up the bush. 6-8. Trying to get ahead of me. That's decapitation.
It's Grand Finals reset. Who's going to take this week? Let's go. He's going so many slide in.
I like
slide
that.
hit. Oh.
We haven't seen Osashi over the Justin Pin for it because, he's been getting hit with a mega fist, but that blood meter gets the hit anyway. The 5-inch of play swing, better swing. Team Talk still playing, James. They're still playing. It's not done just yet. 6 games of dash in throws over the Fukio. This time another midnight dash and tail play. No diet. Runs in with the commit. Oh my god, this is real bad. The command grab, sapping away, letting me run those rushes at play consistently. He's got the bar the mob to run for the super.
Oh, that's
BRC,
gonna do it.
2H, and that's gonna do it. Hotashi with another win, pushing Peace as a perfect KO. There you go. He's back.
Hotashi, like I said, is just at another level.
Very fun night of action last night, James, and we saw Hotashi coming out very specifically with his 4th win in the Thursday night invitational bracket. We've got a lot to talk about here, but I know you specifically before the show wanted to dig deep into Hotashi and just how talented he is. What really kind of stands out to you about Hotashi?
The way that he's been playing recently, I mean, I don't even feel like we're seeing his full power. In fact, after even the tournament was done, he was coming into the chat and he was even saying that he feels like he was hoping more players start to, step up a little bit more and actually, start playing stronger. I've noted on commentary with, Cola, with Charles, and, a lot of the times it feels like he's just experimenting. There's some weeks where he just says, you know what, I'm going to try to, just not care about Nagoriyuki's blood meter. When it fills up, he explodes and loses half his life. And you're trying to avoid that. And it doesn't even seem like he's trying to avoid that. Another week, he was just using his bursts right away. Normally you save them to escape combos and such, but he was just using them at not even good times and stuff, almost like he's trying to remove that crutch and see if he could play more clutch actually and not rely on that kind of a mechanic to save him. It really feels like right now that Hotashi is just kind of at another level, and when he needs to turn it on, he's going to do that. Shine obviously sent him to losers bracket this week, but then he just came back and won 2 sets in a row against Shine. So yeah, right now clearly I think Hotashi is a level above everybody else, and the current reigning Evo online champion. Is he the strongest in NA? Probably right now.
I mean, he looks incredible, and I think it's interesting when you point out the kind of limit testing that he's doing, because very specifically, you talk about that not being his final form, because all of this limit testing, he's just continuing to smooth out the rough parts of his game, find what else he can do, how far can he push with this character. And I think it's terrifying, because I look at Hotashi just in his current state and I'm like, he's terrifying in the bracket. That is not somebody you want to have to run into. And when you think about the fact that he is still not satisfied, right? He still thinks the ceiling is higher. There's more that he can do with Nago. There's more he can bring to the table. It just means that, like, oh man, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 2 months from now, what kind of form are we going to see him in even at that time?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too, and I remember when Strive came out, he and I got into it a little bit on Twitter because there was this little 10v10 exhibition with America versus Japan, and Japan won that pretty handily. And I kind of made a little side comment about Japan being stronger and everything. It was kind of just kind of trying to nudge people, and he was one of the people to come out and just be like, we don't need the nudging, we're strong enough here. But at the same time, Hotashi is back in Exerd. He was one of the only American players who could keep up with a lot of the Asian players, the Japanese players, the Korean players, and really the skill gap is still there. It's not as much as it used to be, but Hotashi knows that, that's where the strongest competition is going to come from. Now, obviously, Strive's netcode is great. We can definitely play matches overseas better than we could before. It's still not going to be perfect. And once we get back to the offline setting of these tournaments, Hotashi for sure wants to beat all the Japanese players. And the best way to do that is if everybody's level steps up in North America region, if everybody becomes super strong to the level of Japan, they're going to keep getting that practice. They're going to get better and better and better. And, I know that Hotashi has his eyes set in that direction. He doesn't want to be the best in NA. He wants to be the best in the world.
Sure.
And he's right there. He's close to it, and he knows it'll only help him if his opponents get stronger as well.
It really shows on Thursdays as well, and people watching the stream don't necessarily get to see this as much, but like I'm in the Discord that the entire tournament is coordinated and run through, and you'll see after a lot of the matches that Hotashi plays, whoever he beats or whatever, they'll come into the Discord after and they'll start asking questions about, hey, what did you think I did wrong here? What do you think happened there? And they'll talk for 20, 30 minutes, and Hotashi will point out like, hey, you had advantage here, but you didn't take the opportunity, or hey, you have to understand that like I have the advantage here. You need to step back and play more conservative there. It really shows when he comes in and he's just like, no, like you could do this better. I messed this up, and he really, you talk about leveling everybody up. He is actively doing it, even when he's trying to beat all these players and win the tournament, right? Like he could beat someone in winners and say it's a Shine, right? He may know I'm gonna have to probably play Shine again. Shine's probably gonna come out of losers here, and he'll still be in there giving him advice or whatever, even though he may have to play them again later in the night. And it's really impressive, and I think it really shows just one of the incredible things about the FGC is like Hotashi wants to be the best player in the world, and he wants to beat the best players in North America when they are at their best. So he is truly trying to level everybody up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it takes to become one of the best. It's very interesting how much things have changed over the decades for fighting games. Before there was a whole, almost kind of like a saying, save that stuff for nationals. You find some cool trick, you don't tell anybody. Vi is the originator of it, okay? He's the one who came, would always say that and like that, rush that stuff down, But I mean, talking about Vi, like one of the most early famous fighting game tournaments, which was Battle by the Bay, like Alex Vi literally found a tactic that changed the game, Street Fighter Alpha 2, that was being played, and he didn't tell anybody, and he just used it at the tournament out of nowhere and beat a bunch of people with it. Nobody had seen it before, nobody knew how to defend against it, etc., etc. And that was generally the plan before. But with the how global things are, and keep in mind, Battle by the Bay, the only way people could see that was second-hand, third-hand copied VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how long
you're dating
ago
yourself
was.
A little bit, James.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing about it is nowadays, it's so global now. You can't hide tech. For one, as soon as someone finds it, they want to be the first person to put it on Twitter and YouTube so they can name the tech after them. This is the J Chenzor, kind of thing. But you just don't have that ability. And so nowadays the mindset is really different. You see this in Japan a lot of the top players are always talking to each other. They're always practicing against each other. They're not, they're sharing their tricks, their tactics. Daigo literally streams everything he practices and what he tries to do. And so it's very different. And so, Hotashi knows that by telling everybody his tricks, if he can still beat them when they're prepared for the stuff that he's going to do, that just means he's that much stronger. And, I talk about this in the fighting game context, but honestly, this is true amongst all of the esports, right?
Sure.
If your opponent knows the tricks that you're going to use and you know the tricks that they're going to use and you still come out on top, that just means you're a better player and a stronger player for it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic and conversation. We've dug pretty deep here into Hotashi and our thoughts on him, but let's look at what we saw from last night as a whole. I want to pull up the top 8 bracket from last night. We had a lot of great matchups last night, and we'll take a look here. I'm curious, of course, we talked about the multiple times we got to see Shine and Hotashi matchup. Was there another one of these matchups in top 8 that really stood out to you? Because we got to watch a lot of really fun Guilty Gear last night.
I mean, one of them is, going to be fan favorite Adventure, right?
Yes.
He's using the Jacko, which is not a commonly used character, which gives him certain advantages. Again, there's a little bit of that, unpredictability, but his match versus Razo was a big one. And I'm sure we'll be able to see a little bit the Series E partnered standings in just a little bit, but Razo, he's trying to catch up to Shine right now. Now, obviously, it's the top 2. Him advancing farther than Tanae. You see over there that Adventure beat both Jonathan Tanae and Razo. That means Razo should be ahead, and second place is good because that means he'll be able to, maintain the sponsor for the next season. But, Adventure having defeated Razo there did stop Razo from potentially getting a lot more points and building that lead. So it was an important match, and Adventure, he's a hard one to practice against. So I would imagine, both Razo and Tanae and everybody else that lost to Adventure along the way is definitely going to be trying to find either another Jacko or maybe, Adventure like Hotashi is willing to give them that practice because that'll just make him stronger.
Yeah, Adventure's been looking really good, honestly, over the last month or so. Even had a really impressive showing at Frosty Faustings back early on in February, and continues to be, I would say, like the definitive Jacko player right now at the top of North America Guilty Gear Strive, and it's really fun to watch. And I love, it was something that I was talking about just off air last night, the kind of character diversity that we get in these Thursday night brackets is really cool. You have your Nagos with Hotashi and Idiosyncrasy, of course, the definitive Potemkin. When you have Shine, you get Adventure on the Jacko. You've got the Zato for Jonathan Tanae. We even, sometimes get Apology Man in there for the Faust. What are your thoughts on kind of how diverse the character selection is every single week on Thursday nights?
It's a sign of a healthy game. It's a sign of a healthy balance, and also a sign that fighting games are in a different place right now. It's really interesting. Again, I've been in the fighting game scene forever. I dated myself with the VHS references already, but it's really interesting to see how much things have changed. One of the newest fighting games to have been released is King of Fighters 15. And one of the early comments about it is how amazingly balanced the game is on release. Fighting games, for the, in its history, balance has not been one of the strongest areas of fighting games on release. The modern era allows us for patching, which has fixed a lot of games. But back in the past, like I said, I could talk about old games forever, but
Sure.
Games like Capcom versus SNK1, Nakaruru was a character in that game, and she was wildly overpowered. She was so broken in that game. Cable in Marvel versus Capcom 2, and so, like, you just, a lot of times in the past, you end up with these fighting games, and seriously, most of the time, the game comes out and is extremely unbalanced. Guilty Gear Strive, some characters were a little stronger than others. Faust was a little weak when, he first debuted, but they definitely got buffed, and that is what allows players like Apology Man to succeed with the Faust. And, it's really, really neat to see. And it's really awesome to see, a lot of the developer communication, and they're watching now and they're listening. And, fighting games are such a, old genre. They really are. I was playing Street Fighter 2 back in 1992, and, the change again from back then to now is so drastic. And, seeing Strive in such a healthy environment where we can see all these different characters and get that variety. And it's not just like 700 Nagos and stuff.
Half the bracket Nago, the other half is Ram, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, obviously, Nago and Ram, we're going to bring them up because they are kind of considered the strongest right now.
Sure.
Again, obviously, we had Bean win with Chip, who people thought was nerfed into the ground, but Bean was like, nope, let me show you exactly what Chip can do, and he did it. And it's wonderful, as a fan of the genre for so long. It's a joy to see fighting games in this state.
And it also feels like it's really good for like a new player coming in when that meta isn't as rigidly defined, where you feel like you can come in, find the character that speaks to you the most, that you enjoy playing, and succeed with it. You don't just have to come in and just play Ramlethal or just play Nago or insert pick here. You can come in and you can pick the Chip, you can play the Viking, you can pick the Eno and succeed with it. So that kind of character diversity and health in the scene is incredibly awesome to watch. I do want to take a peek at that Series E leaderboard that you mentioned just a little bit ago here, James, and see where everything stands currently. Of course, you were already talking about Shine and Razo being up near the top, and it seems like we have a very definitive two-tier setup here. It's Shine, Razo, Jonathan Tene at the top, and below them, you've got Idiosyncrasy, Solstice, and Dawn. Shine there with 250 points now, thanks to that second place finish right now, and Razo just eking ahead now, Jonathan Tene by 10 points. And there is kind of that two-tier setup. What stands out to you the most on these standings, James?
I mean, honestly, it's almost kind of surprising to me, to not trying to call him out or anything, but to see Don with just 30 points, because he is a strong player and he's a very good player, but this is just an indication of how strong this competition is. And so, obviously, look, I'm going to be happy for Nerf Shine because I'm a Potemkin player, so let's get Shine. I could be biased here on
James
this
is on the
recap
bandwagon.
Let's go Potemkin. Let's go. It's awesome to see that. But he's definitely pulling away at this point in time. And so right now, late in the season here, this is really going to come down to Razo and Jonathan. These are the two guys, obviously Intel and Vizio here, Intel, Razo, and Vizio, Jonathan Tene. It's really, I feel like, coming down to those two. That's going to be the big story as we head into the, the home stretch here, because again, it's tough because it's the top two who get to keep the sponsor for next season, right? So, they even had to fight each other in the tournament, and Jonathan actually beat Razo, but Razo made a further run in the losers bracket. So, this one's gonna be tight and it's gonna be exciting, but can we give ties? Can we just be like 3?
We'll see. I'll talk to the League Ops folks. I'll see if I can make it happen, James. As we come back here into the studio, I want to prompt some predictions here going into next week. I want to know, who do you have your eyes on? You've already highlighted that race between Razo and Jonathan Tene. We've talked about Don there. Going into the next week of play, who do you really have your eyes on among the Series E pros?
I mean, it's going to be Jonathan Tene and Razo for that reason that they're fighting for, that sponsorship. Razo, of course, he won CEO offline at the end of last year. So, he's capable of taking, that's a tournament that Hotashi was at as well. I think Hotashi even lost to Idiosyncrasy in the mirror match then. Of course, Hotashi just beat Idiosyncrasy in the mirror match this past, just yesterday.
Yeah.
But again, that's going to be the interesting one to watch. We know that Razo and Jonathan Tene have the ability to take these tournaments here. They can definitely win this, and getting that first place is going to really, really solidify them. And, who knows? Shine could have a bad tournament. He could go 0-2. I've seen, that's just how tight these tournaments are. They're so hotly contested. Shine could go 0-2, and if Razo or Jonathan Tene takes it, they could kind of put themselves comfortably tied with Shine and be less worried about getting put into that bubble position.
Yeah, you never know. We've seen Hotashi go to. We've seen K7 show off, Flash, like some of these incredibly top of the table definitive players go 0-2 in this bracket. And I think that even further speaks to what you're talking about with the level of competition here. So we'll put you there with Razo, your eyes on that matchup. I'm going to go towards the bottom of the table here with my prediction. My eyes are going to be on Solstice. We talked about kind of those two tiers, and for me, I look at Solstice as the player with the best chance to break into that top 3 and challenge. A lot of work to do here as we are approaching that home stretch that you mentioned, but I feel like I've seen flashes of brilliance from Solstice so many times this season in the Thursday bracket. And when you look at what Solstice does outside of the Thursday night bracket, consistently crushes the competition on Wednesday night, has been doing great at other outside events, and I'm just like waiting for Solstice to have that real standout showing on a Thursday night. And I think Solstice is close. I think they are so close. I'm hoping it happens soon. I'm going to have my eyes on Solstice to hopefully break into that top 3, especially because we've seen a lot of Solstice versus Razo matchups over the last few weeks. And more often than not, Solstice is coming out on top. I think a week or two ago, Solstice won 2 3-0s against Razo. So Solstice is so close. I really want to see that big pop-off Ramlethal showing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's got a good character for it, and definitely has a lot of the skill as well. So it'd be really, really cool. Again, you know, the way that I am, I'm that person where I'm like, I want to see them all succeed.
Everybody wins.
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's not how competition works.
Yeah.
So yeah, there will definitely be, you know, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, unfortunately.
It comes with the territory, James. Thank you so much for joining me today, my friend. I appreciate your insight and your expertise. It's always fun to listen to you on the Thursday night show, whether you're paired up with Charles or with Cola. Man, before I let you go, I got to ask, what is it like casting alongside Cola? The kind of energy and excitement that he brings, how is that experience for you?
It's a lot of fun. You know, one of the things, you know, I'm used to commentating alongside guys like, you know, Sajam, Seth Killian, Ultra David. They're very analytical, and so I usually try to make sure I kind of, you know, scream and yell a little bit more and bring the hype. But see, when I'm with Cola, I don't have to worry about that. He's got it. He's got that handled, so I can take care of a lot of the analysis and such. And so, you know, it's fun. It's fun. You know, different commentators bring different pairings, and it's really enjoyable.
It's fun. I always enjoy getting to watch you two, or when Charles comes on and really starts digging deep. So I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to listening to more from you next week. But enjoy your weekend, my friend. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Well, thank you for having me on.
All right, James Chen signing off. Of course, keep an eye on next week's competition. Thursday night, 4 p.m. Pacific time, Guilty Gear Strive Series E. James will be back for all of that fun, but we appreciate him coming to hang out with us here today. Right now, we are going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have our final block of the day. Kaisa will be joining me. We'll be talking some Halo Infinite. Of course, we kicked off the week with Draft Day. We'll have that for you in just a few.
Favorite just gets dwindled down to the United one. I just have to point it out. Quite Adoptive Gaming needs to wake up. It appears that they've started to do so.
Welcome back to the series recap. Yeso and I are going to be talking to some Halo. Are you hyped?
I'm hyped. I'm ready to kick off the season, honestly. You know, the nice thing about working at Esports Arena is I get to hear about, you know, a lot of these things in advance. So long before the community or the scene knew that Series E Halo Infinite was coming, I was here getting hyped, getting ready for it. I was super excited for the title, especially because, you know, I kind of walked away from the Halo franchise after Halo 4. Played Halo 4 on release. I wasn't really psyched on it, and so I definitely didn't touch Halo 5 almost at all until I started hosting the show. And then that kind of built it up, and then with Halo Infinite coming out, I was super excited to jump back into the franchise, and then you add on top of that, we're going to do Series E with it. I'm like, I'm sold. I'm all in. So I've been so excited. It took everything I had to, like, keep the announcement behind my teeth for so long, and now not only have we announced it, we've done the qualifiers, we've done draft day, and now we're just a few days away from starting it, and I couldn't be more stoked.
So close. It starts on Monday, and I didn't even get to Halo 4. I played Halo 3, and then everyone's like, Halo 4 is not as good, and I'm like, okay, I guess I won't play it.
Lucky for you.
and then Halo 5, I was like, I guess I won't play it, but apparently it was pretty solid, or a lot of people really liked it.
A lot of people love Halo 5.
A lot of people liked Halo 5. Yeah. And then with Infinite multiplayer, I was kind of like, is this just nostalgia? Was Halo actually that good, or was it just all in my mind and my memory that it was that good? And then it was.
Sick. Yeah.
When I played Halo Infinite, I was shocked. I was very glad that it was all the great things that I remembered it being.
We'll play.
We'll play.
We'll have to play.
We'll play. So we're going to cover Draft Day, which happened earlier this week. It was super exciting. Let's check out the highlight video.
Someone who doesn't play
You're not wearing a black tie.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, hey, sorry, on Halo.
Esports Arena. We're pumped. We gotta get out here.
What's up, everyone? It's Draft Day. Halo Infinite, the inaugural season. Any one of these brands you see that are floating around me is what's going to be representing each one of these individual players. Again, it's super unique. You can have a Vizio player, an Intel player, a Razer player, a Splash player, etc., all on the same team. Dude, I think it's Razer. It is. Congrats, Rami Razer. Splash Vizio. Boom! It's Intel, man. All right, here we go. Intel, Razer already gone. It's gotta be Nerf. What you wanted. What you wanted. Congrats, Nerf Neuronical. Boom, I was pretty good. Esports Arena Red, Collect, is gonna be representing, and it's looking like it's Vizio, dude. Vizio Collect. That's got a nice ring to it.
Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and you know, congratulations on Draft Day.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
I think for me, it's a combination of not only having that veteran leadership, you combine it with some of the young guns like Neuronical and Cull. Like, you know, these guys are super talented. It's up to Esports Arena Blue to show that they belong here.
I think I gave it away. It's all right. It's Intel. It's another Val. It's Intel Eli Elite. Boom, dude. It is game over for Headaches. Congratulations, dude. It's Excedrin.
Wait, oh my god.
Dude,
no
let's go.
Let's go.
Razer.
I'm actually hyped.
It's all good though, man, because you're going to be staying hydrated to play on that Intel PC of yours anyway. Congratulations, man. Splash JK.
Good. I'm excited to have you all here. Of course, I love a special shout out to Flariously there with the quick switch up on the lights, gets drafted to Razer, hits the green. I'm all about it.
No team on an amateur scale can even come close to us. I just knew at the end, like, our team would be on top, right? Because we all wanted it that bad.
You know, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Obviously, I gave shout-outs to our sponsors before we switched over here. But, again, I started out playing Halo, and the reason why Series E and the reason why Esports Arena was founded was because I wanted to go pro and just didn't really have that clear path, didn't really have that opportunity. And now here I am today signing 2 Halo Infinite teams. That's surreal. That's crazy.
Draft day was super fun to watch, and I'm sure it was really exciting for all the players. So you matched up with the sponsor. What are your thoughts about it? How did you enjoy the event?
It was really cool. Halo Infinite draft day was my 4th draft day. I've done Season 3 and Season 4 for Apex, Season 1 for Guilty Gear, now Season 1 for Halo Infinite. And not having been around for the start of Apex Legends, it's been cool to see the start of Guilty Gear Strive and Halo Infinite Series E because it's, I am learning and meeting these players at the same time as our audience for the most part. And that's really cool. And very specifically, all 8 of the players between Esports Arena Red and Esports Arena Blue were really well-spoken, candid, open. It was cool to hear about their journeys to competitive Halo Infinite, how they got here, and just getting that opportunity to sit down and talk with all of them on how they're feeling right now, what their goals are, what their kind of next steps and their expectations are for the season, and what their hopes are to take advantage of this opportunity was really cool. We've talked about it off camera, and getting to know these players' stories and be a part of telling those stories is something really special. And just being there for the start of it all here with Series E Halo Infinite is really rewarding and feels really good.
I thought that was really great too. I personally, I like cheering for players when I feel like I know them in some way, parasocial relationship, but like there's something about them that like stands out to me, or like, oh, I thought it was so cool that Neuronical wanted to study medicine or did study medicine. I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of a cool, thing to know about him beyond just what we see in games and through his gameplay. So I think that's like a cool element to kind of also enjoy following their story and their successes. And I agree that they were all very well spoken. I was like, wow, like, is this like were they like PR briefed? Everyone just like so excited to be there.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, and maybe I have to help us break down that stigma a little bit. Not everybody's just that, basement dwelling gamer that we all joked about, growing up or whatever. Obviously we're in a different age these days. When you look at like social media and the popularity of like streaming and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, has definitely changed a lot of things, but it was just impressive. I was really impressed by all of the players. They were all really engaging, interesting, and just fun to talk to, and I think that just makes all of this that much more cool. And I think it was such a perfect setup for the start of the season. I think draft day was great. All the players were so excited and so thankful. And it was also really cool to hear specifically from Team Esports Arena Red because, of course, as folks know, they had qualified for Anaheim, and then they qualified for Series E a week and a half prior to Anaheim. So they got signed, flew out here for Anaheim, and then we all got to meet them. We got to be a part of helping them prepare for HCS Anaheim, and then they went on and had such an incredible showing at the tournament, and they talked a lot about it on draft day, how they felt that set themselves up for success for the weekend. They felt like they were comfortable and at home here, and everything was taken care of, so all they had to worry about was the gameplay in the server, and that was really cool because I know everybody here really enjoyed getting to meet them and talk to them and be a part of that Anaheim experience. And the fact that they walked away with such a positive experience after being here with us is super cool. And that's, all we could hope for.
That's super great to hear. And I remember some of the players saying that they felt like they were with family here, and it was a really positive experience. And as you said, it leaves them that they can focus on their gameplay and, play the best that they can, which is all we can, really hope for and cheer for. And kind of going back to the not all gamers are like basement dwellers kind of thing, it made me kind of think about how now, like, players, it's not just about the game, it's about, they have to do like interviews, or they're more on camera and they have more of this presence, but like it's not really their job. Like they're, it's not necessarily their priority.
It's like there's opportunity there, right?
Right, there's opportunity.
Is if you build these skills, and learn these things, and then take advantage of those opportunities. It's that brand building, like players, when you look at, for example, some of the biggest like streamers out there right now, you look at like a Shroud, right? Players like that, and Shroud isn't who he is just because of what he was able to do in the server in his time as a CSGO pro. It's about also all the other things he did, his personality and his brand that he developed through doing all these other things. So when you come into a draft day like that and these players are well-spoken and they have interesting conversations and all that kind of things, it really shows that even if they don't necessarily, they haven't made necessarily that conscious decision to do it, at the very least, they have the skill set to take advantage of doing those kinds of things and building that brand. And obviously, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves in terms of like, that isn't like a long possible journey ahead, but it is at the very least cool to understand that these are players who not only have the skills in Halo Infinite to do well at the game, but it seems like they have the social skills outside of it to do all kinds of these other things. And it really just shows that these guys all have, I would say, a very bright future in competitive esports. And that, of course, is what we are trying to give them the opportunity to take advantage of with Series E.
That's a great way to put it, that they're really set up for success and they have all these skills, and I feel like it's only going to help them in the future and in their journey.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I do want to talk a little bit about Anaheim. Just from a gameplay perspective, because obviously we've highlighted the opportunity that the players have. If you guys missed it, Red was the biggest surprise of the tournament. They get into a group, you draw into a group with Sentinels and Cloud9 and Oxygen Esports, and everybody kind of looked at that and went, all right, cool, like, have fun going 0-3 in groups. You're not going to do anything, but not only did they do something, they did a whole hell of a lot. First of all, taking a map off of Cloud9 and Sentinels each in groups is incredibly impressive.
That's huge.
I mean, this is a Cloud9 team that has not lost an event since the start of Halo Infinite competitive.
Wow.
They won Raleigh, they won all of the HCS events after that, and then they won Anaheim. And you take a map off of them, that's impressive. Taking one off of Sentinels is impressive. And then crushing Oxygen is huge, which of course kept them out of the lower bracket at the start. I would say the loss to G2, surprising, especially in the way that it happened. But then you come out and you crush Space Station and follow that up with taking a game off of United. Of course, I would say the players likely disappointed because they probably felt that they could have gone further, and maybe, you know, if they pick things up in that G2 series, the entire perspective of that tournament changes even better. But I would say when I look back at that event and the kind of expectations everybody had for Esports Arena Red going in and what they did with that, the ceiling is so high for this team. They have the raw skill to throw down with some of the best teams in North America this early on. I mean, the sky is the limit for these guys.
Right, definitely not a team to sleep on, and I hope for, you know, that in the next tournaments people aren't going to say like, oh, they're going to go like 0-3. It'll be like, let's see what games they're going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely on the up and up.
Yeah, Red was incredibly impressive, really fun to watch. And now, I mean, it just has me so excited. I will note that, of course, they competed in the HCS Open Series number 7 this past week. They did get top 8. I would say a disappointing 5-game loss to Complexity that gated them from making top 4. And I would say the players probably not happy with that, especially because Complexity was a team that I don't think they won a single game in Anaheim. They really had a rough showing there. And I would say if I'm Esports Arena Red, I'm like, all right, that's not a team we should be losing to. But at the very least, they're continuing to put up solid results, and I'm excited about the future because it really just looks like they are trending in the right direction. They have the talent, and I could not be more excited about the future of that team. And I also do want to say, we talked a lot about Red here, and of course that's because we've seen a lot about them. Esports Arena Blue was also super interesting to talk to. The rivalry between the teams, because if you guys watch Draft Day, a lot of these players have known each other for a long time, have even competed on teams together prior. So there's already this nice little inbuilt rivalry there. And I'm hoping that Blue is seeing all of this discussion about Esports Arena Red, all this coverage, and going like, oh, just you guys wait until we find them in the bracket, then it's going to go down. I think it sets up for a very fun story, and I think don't sleep on Esports Arena Blue. Tony talked about it on the show on Monday. This is a very good team. Maybe they're a little bit of the underdog story, but when they've got some awesome fragging power and name value on that team.
And they're definitely very confident in the interviews on draft day. Both teams were like, we're going to win. We're totally going to be better than the other team. And I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of great teamwork and communication. And I feel like they're going to show us some great games and some great things.
Yeah, and it all kicks off on Monday night. And we do want to note, signups are live right now, right? Monday night is open night. Anybody can come out and compete. There'll be cash on the line as well. So if you do want to sign up, the signups are live over at matcherino.com/ESA. I believe ! Sign up in Twitch chat will give you that link as well. But if you got a squad and you think you can come out and compete with a top 10 team at HCS Anaheim, you better sign up and come out, and we'll see you on Monday. I'm super psyched for it.
Me too. You have to sign up. We'll be seeing you Monday for those games. Monday at 5 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, the tournament will start at 4, and the stream will typically start at 5 o'clock, yeah.
And also next week, we also have Apex Legends on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we both have Halo and Apex.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a packed day.
Both games. Thursday, Guilty Gear Strive, and then Friday, our recap show.
Yeah, we'll be back once again. Any final thoughts? Your first show. Kaisa, how you feeling?
It was fun. I'm feeling good. Oh, I have one question for you.
Hit me.
If you were in draft day, what sponsor would you want?
Ooh.
You can also diplomatically say they're all great.
No, let's be clear. They are all great, and specifically because of the support. They've signed on to support these scenes with us here at Esports Arena. So that's incredible, and that is what we're all about. So that is super cool. But I will pick a favorite child. I don't care. I'm gonna have to go with Vizio.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with Vizio.
Why?
I could use a nice new, 55-inch 4K flat panel for my my apartment. So hey, Vizio. You have Luke's number. Luke's got my number. We can make it happen. Yeah, Kaisa too. Kaisa's a homie. We can get her a Vizio as well. So. Who would you pick? Is it?
I pick Splash because every time Splash came on the screen, I was like, I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. I was like, this advertising works. And everyone's like, you gotta stay hydrated, hydrated gamers, hydration check. And I'm like, I'm all with Splash.
So I really like Splash as well, specifically because I hate flavored waters.
Really?
I don't touch I don't do mineral water or sparkling water, and I don't do flavored waters ever. And I remember when Splash came on, I was like, all right, I have to try it, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna hate it. And I drank it, and I was like, wait, this is actually good.
Wow.
And I know people are watching, and the people are probably like, Cap, this is just an ad. I'm not joking. 100%. I tried Splash thinking, I think it was a pineapple orange flavor, if I remember correctly. Sadly, I don't get hooked up with Splash all the time because I would be definitely drinking it all the time. I'd have it stocked up in my fridge. But seriously, I went in thinking, I'm going to hate this. I never like this kind of water. And I drank it. I was like, this is actually really, really good. So I was like, I was immediately on board as a Splash fan because I was like, wow, you made a drink that's actually really delicious. And I typically hate all of these. So that's a good choice. I think Splash is dope.
Thank you. Good job, Splash. And Vizia, let us know if you'd like to set up Yeso with a nice 55-inch
Kaisa
TV.
too. Come on, we'll make it happen.
Thanks for thinking of me. But make sure you do exclamation point sign up in the chat if you want to join for the Halo games on Monday. And also, we'll be back next Friday for this recap show, but there's going to be games all week. Make sure you follow the channel and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. So you're tuned into all of the esports games because we have a ton of games and a ton of fierce competition coming in next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And as we wrap the show, do you want to give folks another look at the fun stuff that happened in Anaheim? Shout out to all our staff here who went along with the team, recorded some content, but our friend Made by Phil put together an awesome little vlog that we want to leave you guys with, so check it out.